Okay, welcome to episode 5, This Week in the 90s podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah Tiana.
Hey, it's Chris again. Great to see you.
You're wearing my hat.
I'm wearing your hat, and I'm wearing a free shirt that I got from Jim Harbaugh. So,
Okay.
what's up? There's no way.
You think Jim Harbaugh bought that shirt?
I think that yes, hard-earned dollars that he gets from the state of Michigan paid for this shirt.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
You should be wearing khakis too, just to really please him.
Maybe I am wearing khakis. We'll never know because it's below this line.
No, you're not wearing khakis.
Did you pay for the shirt that you have on?
Yeah, this is a Falcon shirt. It is. It's a Falcon. It's like a vintage, retro shirt. Or whatever.
Oh, all I see is a giant L on it.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hey, it's This Week in the 90s podcast, and we're back for episode 5, like we said. I'm going to steer today, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay, August 30th to September 5th. That's the week we're focusing on, and the year is 1997.
Ooh, that's a first for 97.
1997. I think this is our first odd year.
Yeah, I feel like it is our first.
Have we only done evens so far?
Feels like it.
Feels like it, right?
97.
Okay, we're doing odds. 1997. So, first week in September, end of August, 97. Where were you? I like playing this game.
Oh, 97, August.
So probably at senior year of high school? No, first year of college.
No, this is my
Second year of college. Hey, bless
Excuse
you.
me, I have the Rona. No, I would be my sophomore year of college.
Okay.
About to start my sophomore year of college. I was doing a show called What's Up Rock,
Hey.
which was a spin-off of What's Up Doc at Six Flags Over Georgia. So it's like I was playing Daffy Duck. I'll post a picture of that.
Wait, so you wore the Daffy Duck costume?
Mm-hmm. We were in a band
Wow.
called What's Up Rock, and it was a kids show
That
at
is
Six Flags.
amazing.
Yeah. And so I think I lost 15 pounds that summer because I was dancing outside in a costume
In that
every
giant
day.
heavy suit?
Mhm.
Was it heavy? Was it hot?
I started out as Taz playing the drums.
Okay.
And he had to have broomstick handles because when they first gave me drumsticks, I was like, you can't even feel them; they were too small in your hands.
Right.
So I had to have these
That's so
broomsticks
funny.
or whatever. And then he had this giant Velcro head that went all the way around me, and these two not styrofoam, but they were like squishy material that went over your shoulders, and that's how you made everything move. And then we had to take all these tests. Once we passed the autograph test, then we could sign autographs because the autographs had to look the same at every park, so you had to memorize how to write the name.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
I still know how to write Taz and Daffy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really think you missed your calling as those
Yeah.
are Warner Brothers characters, right?
Yeah, that was when Warner Brothers still owned.
Wow.
Yeah, because Batman had just come out, and that summer or whatever, it was a big blockbuster that summer.
Yeah.
And so they turned a part of the park into they created the Batman ride. They built the Batman ride, which was where your legs dangle.
Right.
And then we had a ride over there that was already there called the Mind Bender, and they changed it to the Riddler's Mind Bender. And they painted it green, and it was...
The only time I've ever been to Six Flags, we went to Six Flags New England, and we're on the Superman, and it was the scariest thing of all time.
You're not a roller coaster.
I'm not a roller coaster person. I did go on that first and only time I've ever really been on a roller coaster. And it goes straight up. And then kind of pauses for a split second. You're like, oh, cool, this is great. Look how high. Oh my god! And then you go flying down at 70 miles an hour straight into a hole in the ground.
Right. Yeah, no, it's super
Terrifying.
scary. Yeah, because I remember also, my grandmother had recently gotten one of her legs amputated from diabetes, and
goodness.
so she had a fake leg, and I kept being go on the Batman ride, see if it was really that sturdy. She'd be she'd just laugh.
Did you do it? No.
No.
No, that would have been funny.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at August 30th to September 5th. Like I said, 1997. Now here's the deal. Not a lot of great stuff was going on here. Actually, there were 2 huge deaths that week, so I'm gonna kind of focus on
Fun.
those. Wah, wah. small.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it in an interesting way. So one of the deaths is huge, enormous. We actually talked about her last week, but I'm going to focus on the other person who passed away. And then at the end of the week, another huge death, but I'm going to focus on a very interesting aspect that I learned about her. So 2 famous women died this week. On August 31st, Diana, Prince of Wales, and Jodie Fayed, her maybe fiance.
I think I know who the other one is because I remember this a lot.
Probably. So they were in a tragic car accident in Paris at the beginning of the week in 1997. And then at the end of the week, September 5th, Mother Teresa passed away at age 87.
See, I always thought that they died on the same day.
Not the same day.
Because I remember her, because I remember when Michael Jackson died and Farrah Fawcett died.
Yep.
And then her death completely got overshadowed. And there was, by the time Mother Teresa died, there was still so much funeral like the whole world was just mourning that her death just got glazed over. And I was like, is there nothing, there's like nothing more Mother Teresa than to just die, like, so nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
It was like very much.
Yeah, she was a week later, and her funeral stuff went on in India, but everyone was still, going on in mourning for Princess Diana because then shortly thereafter Elton John switched the song around, and then that kind of dominated. We'll touch on that later on in this episode. But first off, I wanted to talk about Jodie Fayed because I don't think a lot of people even really know about this guy or know much about him. He was 42 years old.
God, that's how old I am.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Diana was 36 when the accident happened.
36.
Which is crazy because you think that she lived such a full, long life.
Yeah. She did so much
kind
with
of
her
British
life.
royalty. Yeah, she did a lot. This guy actually, he was kind of fascinating. Son of a billionaire. Son of an Egyptian billionaire, and got into the movie business. He was a producer and produced a bunch of movies, and then so his father was a billionaire. He owned Harrods department store.
Harrods, I knew that about. I remember he was like from like some. I thought it was like Hermes or something, but Harrods makes sense.
Harrods department store.
I vaguely remember there being like a memorial set up outside of Harrods, like where people were.
There was a couple statues that ended up getting erected. His father also owned the Hotel Ritz in Paris, and he owned the Fulham Football Club, which he later sold to Shad Khan, who's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and his mother was Saudi Arabian. His father was Egyptian.
Did we go to that Ritz when we were in Paris?
I feel like we
think
stopped
we
in
did.
there. He helped produce Chariots of Fire, Breaking Glass, Hook, and The Scarlet Letter. So personal life, he was married before. He was married to a woman and they had no kids, but they were only married for 8 months. Then, which is kind of interesting, early in 1997, he was engaged to an American model, someone named Kelly Fisher. And they were actually set to get married in July of 1997.
Okay.
And had bought a house in Malibu with money from his father. And then 2 days before the wedding, he reportedly broke it off after pictures of him and Diana surfaced of them hanging out together. And then broke it off, and then was probably with Diana for like a month. Reports that he had an engagement ring that he purchased the day before for Diana, and then they were involved in the tragic accident. She actually, this model, Kelly Fisher, had actually sued him for breach of contract suit,
I was gonna say,
right?
yeah.
Because they were engaged,
'Cause I was gonna
and
say-
then after their death, she dropped it.
Do you think like a little part of her was like not happy that Diana died, but happy that he died? You know?
Well, I mean, I guess when you're about to be married to a billionaire's son, there's probably a
And
little
then you
part
get
of
left
it
at the altar, and
left
you're
at
like,
the altar for Prince Diana though. Like, how can you really get mad?
I definitely don't.
You lost to someone clearly better than you.
I mean, yes, for sure. I mean, Diana was like a saint as well, and like a really nice
Right,
girl.
and kind of an amazing person.
Probably too good for this Doty guy.
Probably. It seemed like he was a little
Like a
kind of
serial dater.
like kind of a playboy, a little two-timer going on. He was dabbling in Hollywood. His dad owned a soccer team. He was
I mean,
probably
there's no way. Like when
all
you're a
over the
billionaire,
place, right?
and this is not to be speak ill of the dead, but like when you're a billionaire and you don't know what else to do with your money, you're like, oh, I'll just invest in movies and then I can meet celebrities.
Probably.
A lot of
I
billionaires
would
do
imagine
that,
I would
which
do
is
that.
great for the movie business because they always need money from somewhere,
Right.
and so
So they're
usually it's
funding
like
a lot of
some
stuff. Right.
poor schlep from, London
Yeah.
or the Middle East, and then they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll meet Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but I can imagine being this girl and then like
Exactly.
hearing he's in a car accident, not hearing that he was with Diana, and then being like, good, but
Well,
then finding out it was Diana and being like,
I feel like wasn't he kind of the afterthought? Like, oh, he was also in the car because
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
of the news coverage was about Diana.
but
being
she
in
would
the
have heard
car.
first about I'm saying the girl, the ex,
Oh,
would have
yeah,
heard
maybe.
first about
Yeah, maybe.
Joey, but
So, do you remember anything about this back then? I'm sure.
oh, I remember because I went to Paris like 2 years later where
Okay.
the car accident was, which we saw on the
Yeah,
bridge.
we saw as well. There's a nice.
There's a big
a
memorial,
big
like
plaque and memorial. Yeah.
there's a big flame that's on the like statue flame. I don't know what it's memorial on the bridge, and so when I went there, it was 2 years later, and there was still like people were still putting flowers and stuff there, and like I just remember like the whole world just kind of stopped. I mean, until
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant died, I don't feel like there was ever a bigger international death. Well, I would say Michael Jackson would have been.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Michael
I think,
Jackson,
for sure.
and then Kobe. So like it seems
Yeah.
like every 10 years there's like some giant, awful tragedy, and then this week Chadwick Boseman, which I think is another huge loss.
Huge.
But, like,
Yeah, huge loss.
I remember there were just always these pictures of her. She was always in the press,
Always. Yeah, everywhere.
always.
People magazine see
I
that she
remember-
was on the cover every other week. It felt like.
Yeah, because she like shortened her skirts 2 inches. Like they were always below the knee, and then once she got divorced from Prince Charles, they were like above the knee.
And then you started seeing pictures of her in bathing suits and like.
Yeah, on the yacht with Dodie.
Yeah, out and about.
Yeah. And I think when you're from the royal family, it's probably very comfortable to date a billionaire because a billionaire isn't fascinated by,
Someone
isn't
with
like
money,
enamored,
right,
you know what I
right,
mean,
right.
like by other people with money, and
Sure.
so it's kind of like just like this, a little bit more relaxed, I would think, dating atmosphere or whatever. And he was a good-looking guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just remember like pictures of her in bathing suits surfacing,
Yeah.
and there were tons of conspiracy theories that like she wasn't really
Huge. Yeah. Yeah.
dead.
I mean, obviously, huge investigation in all this. The paparazzi gets blamed.
Well, for
'cause
sure.
They were tagging them along, and because they were
Flashing the
following
lights of
them
the
and
driver.
flashing the lights,
Yeah.
and then of course, they tried to really pin it on the driver, the chauffeur. They claim that he was driving under the influence and of alcohol and prescription drugs, and then. Dodi Fayed's father, Mohammed Al Fayed, he actually went even further and claimed that they were executed by MI6 agents,
Wow.
which is basically, the British undercover
Mhm.
FBI. So,
Why did he think that? Like, what
I
would be the
actually,
purpose of MI6?
I actually didn't dive into that, but I just.
That seems like a dark hole.
It seems like a dark web hole that I don't really want any part of. Dodi Fayed's former spokesman, like I said, claimed that the couple had become engaged, possibly the day before, maybe a couple days before. They were going back to London after spending about 9 or 10 days together on holiday, as they call it over there, and made a stopover in Paris
Mm-hmm.
when it happened. He mentioned the memorials at Harrods. The father had 2 erected in April of 1988. Photos of 2 of them in a pyramid-shaped display that holds wine glasses smudged with lipstick from Diana's last dinner, as
Because they were
well
leaving dinner.
as
right?
well as the ring that he purchased the day before. Yes, and the second, which was unveiled in 2005, is a 10-foot-high bronze statue of the 2 dancing on a beach.
Do you think when you give a princess a ring, she's like,
Well, she had the crown jewels, right? So I gotta think
She
she
didn't
had
get to
seen.
keep all of them.
She didn't get to keep all of them or any of them. I forget what you said last week, but
No.
she has literally seen the greatest of the greatest jewels that there ever been in the entire world.
Yeah, so I'm like,
And so,
ah,
oh man, I would love to find the picture of the ring that he. If I find it,
you'll post.
I'll put it right here, and then if I can find it. But yeah, I wonder. You mentioned Kobe Bryant. I wonder if it's as big as Kobe's "I'm Sorry" ring that he bought for Vanessa. You know, that thing was enormous.
I don't understand enormous diamond ring. Like I
That's great news for me.
yeah,
So,
right. In the next 40 years, when you decide to,
well, let's see how long it takes.
for you to save up.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
I'm
Saving up.
You save it.
Just so everyone out there knows, Chris bought me this ring one time, and he handed it to me up here so that I wouldn't be confused that it was a different kind of ring.
Definitely not true.
It is true.
Oh man, you like to twist the truth about what actually goes on. But that's okay. That's okay.
But you handed it to me up high. So
You were sitting and it was waist high for me, so it looked like you had to reach up because you were sitting down on a couch. True or false?
I was sitting down on the
Thank you.
couch, but it was
Exactly.
still like I had to. It was like in the bag, and the receipt was still in the bag. Like there was no like, hey, this is like something special, and it was something special.
Okay, well, don't discredit
But you
what-
didn't want me to think that it was something other.
That's not true at all.
It is true, but it doesn't
Wow.
matter. You are my diamond. I don't need a diamond. I don't need a diamond. That's what I was trying to say. Is that like large diamond? Like I just feel like.
Yeah, what is the point, kind of?
I just like don't like people think
Yeah,
like
but
when
you
you're a
also
comedian
don't
that
like
you don't.
super gaudy jewelry.
You know, but I just don't like that kind of attention. You know what I mean? Like
Alright.
when you have a microphone your whole life, you don't need attention for other things. Like you already command attention on a stage. Like
That's true.
like I just like don't like I'm like starting to itch right now because I'm like I
Just
don't like
thinking
wedding.
about it?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
about people looking at me for a reason other than me just like performing and doing stand up. So like.
Okay.
But my question was, like, her getting a ring.
And not being impressed, or just being like, oh, that's nice.
Oh, thank you. Like, like maybe he thought they were engaged, but
Maybe.
like, who doesn't want to ask a Diana to marry them?
Oh, yeah,
If
of
she
course.
says yes, I'll go on a date with you.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're not gonna. Maybe you would be the guy that would play hard to get versus Diana.
Oh, yeah, Diana's texting me. Well, I'll make her wait a couple hours.
You're the worst. You're the worst at dating. I can't
Hey,
even-
Diana sent me a nude. I won't respond.
I knew. Yeah, right. I can't even imagine Diana texting, but like,
Well, she probably never got the
no,
chance.
she never had the chance.
Yeah.
But
What do you think Diana's Raya profile would look like?
well, we might like. They say too that like President Trump was like still like angry at the British royal family because Diana would never go out with him. He wanted to date her, like famously date her for so
Oh,
long, and
gosh.
she was like, no.
He was like married the whole time.
Oh, do you think he cares?
Well, no, I don't.
But yeah, I mean, he was just like enamored with her, and she was like, no. She probably would have gone out with Elton John first. But
Yeah, probably.
yeah, I don't know what. I mean, it would have been. I mean, obviously, like I wish she were still alive because I think she would have been
Yeah.
like this incredible.
Yeah.
She was already such a goodwill ambassador, and she did so much for the AIDS crisis in the '80s, and she really was like a rich saint as opposed to Mother Teresa, who was like a non-rich royal
Yeah.
saint.
I mean,
it's
Diana
kind of
would have
crazy.
been 59 right now. Isn't that crazy to think about?
She would have looked exactly the same.
She probably
I think
would've been
that she was always older because she has short hair and 2 kids.
Yeah. Well, also
That's
I also think people in the 80s and 90s just looked older than we do
Mhm,
now at the
mhm.
same age, you know.
Well, yeah. Plus, we were like I was like 19 years old when she died.
Yeah,
So
that's
to me,
sad.
she's like 37 seems so old.
So old.
20 years older than me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end of the week, Mother Teresa passed away. She was also very old. She was 87. Of
Did
course.
she also die in a car accident?
Yeah,
In a
she was
limo?
being chased by the paparazzi in a limo with her older movie star, movie producer boyfriend. No, but of course, she's Indian, missionary, saint, all that fun, good stuff. But in reading about her, there was so much to read about her, of course. But one thing kind of struck out to me in her biography. In her early years, she was fascinated by stories of lives and missionaries and their service. And by age 12, she was convinced that she should commit herself to a religious life.
Wow.
At age 12. Now, this is kind of what I want to ask you. If you can remember back to being 12.
Oh,
okay?
wow, that was a long time ago.
What do you remember, or if you can, that you wanted to do for your career? Like what did you want to do with your life when you were 12 years old?
I think when I was 12, I actually was going to church for the first time. Because that was like 8th grade, right? Wouldn't that be 13?
12 would have been, yeah, like 7th, 8th grade. Depending.
Yeah. So I actually went to church for the first time. I got kicked out of 2 churches growing up.
It takes a very special person to get kicked out of church.
They didn't kick me.
Ma'am, we're gonna have to ask you to leave.
They politely asked me to go try another church. Because I came in, my parents were really great. Like they never told me what religion they were. They were always like, you're really smart, you can figure out whatever you want to be, you can be.
Yeah.
And when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I was like, I want to go to church. Like all my friends went. So I wanted to just go hang out with them and do whatever they were doing.
Okay.
And so, I had to kind of start like Bible study like at the very beginning. So there were like 6 and 7-year-olds in my class.
And so you're this like 12-year-old and with all the young
and I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna be this.
You're basically the Billy Madison of church.
Yeah. And so, they're like telling all these. I've never heard any of these stories before, and so my brain is older.
Keyword stories.
Yeah, like my brain is older, and so they're like talking about Adam and Eve, and I'm just like, I can't even get past a guy alone in a garden. Like, I'm just like, what are you talking
Like dudes
about?
don't garden? Is that what
I'm
you're
just like, why is he alone? And was he mad at his wife? Like when my dad and mom were kind of arguing, my dad just goes and fiddles with the garden outside.
Sure.
And they're like, no, he didn't have a wife, like, yeah, they had to make him. And I'm like, make her? Like, from what? And they're like, his rib. I was asking, like, which rib? How did they do it? They pull, and like none of the other kids are asking any questions.
No, because they're 7 and they don't care.
You always shout.
Sorry. I'm very loud.
Yeah, so they're 7, they don't care. I'm skeptical. That's the religion my parents taught me. It's like, just ask a lot of questions.
Ask questions.
Well, they're like, well, maybe your questions would be better answered at the Baptist church down the road. And I was like, okay, and then I go there. But sure. I'm like, maybe they're right. Like, they're adults. They know what they're talking about. So then I went there and asked the same thing. And they said, you should try the Methodist church. And I'm like, that's where I started. Like, this is not.
Yeah, they just sent me to you.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's when I stopped going. That was like a couple of years. But
do you have any
But when I was 12,
yeah, notion of what you wanted to do with like?
I think when I was 12, like, so that would have been, around that. Like, I definitely thought, like, no, I think I thought I was going to be, like, an actress in movies and stuff like that when I was and then I got more into journalism the older I got. When CNN became a thing, my dad would really kind of, like, was like, you'd be great as, like, a news anchor. And then, so I went to school as a journalism major, and then like ended up changing to entertainment journalism, which led to film, which led to me majoring in film and theater. Yeah.
There you go.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I think. So 12, we would have been living in Alaska, so I was staying up and watching Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann on SportsCenter. So I think when I was 12, I was convinced that I was going to be on ESPN someday. We gave out, the teacher gave out awards for 5th and 6th grade, and 5th grade I got sports announcer, and 6th grade I got most competitive because she didn't want to give me sports announcer 2 years in a row.
Oh.
And so I think that's, I kind of knew at an early age what I wanted to do. Maybe I thought I was still going to like be a professional baseball
Oh
player.
yeah, that's the other thing. I definitely also
Or
thought I
something.
was going to play women's basketball. Be the
Oh.
first women's professional basketball player.
Oh, look at you.
And then my teacher was like, well, there's already women's professional basketball. And I was like, oh.
Oh.
So then I won't be the first. I think I just like was like, well, it's not that cool then. But you definitely, I can imagine you like going into pro sport. You are really athletic.
So I thought that, I think I still thought I was going to be a professional baseball player or something, but in the back of my mind I was like, oh, but if it doesn't work out, I'll just be a sportscaster. Like, we watched the local news, I was like, that's super easy, they're just reading. It's like, I can do that.
Does a part of you ever think like if a bunch of shit went down and the Dodgers or the Red Sox needed somebody,
Yeah.
and they were like, we went through 1,000 people.
Like right now, like as a 40-year-old,
Yeah, like
I guarantee I could pitch 1 inning for the Red Sox, and I would not do any worse than those slapdicks are doing right now.
what about hitting?
Hitting, I wouldn't touch the. I wouldn't even come close. I probably wouldn't even foul one off.
Would you be batting 11th?
It's also been a while since I've stepped into the plate against real pitching. I mean, we went
Because
to.
of coronavirus?
Yes, it's been it's been a while
You
since
can't get on the ball field?
I can't get out there and take some hacks. Do I get to use an aluminum bat?
No.
Everyone else gets to use wooden, but I get to use aluminum.
Yeah.
What's funny is Nelson Cruz, the guy for the Twins, we're the same age, and he leads the American League in home runs.
Don't you and your friends have that thing about like making a basket in the NBA or something?
Oh, so we think our friend Parker, he thinks that he would score 1 point during an entire NBA season. He thinks.
Oh, a whole season, I think so.
What?
You would just luckily get fouled.
No.
Yeah, you would get
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he would.
There's.
You would get
no.
fouled. He's tall and gangly, like he would get fouled.
Yes, but he's also.
On
Slow,
accident.
he's also slow, like a sloth.
That's
like,
why he'd get
and
fouled.
compared to
Somebody
these
would
guys out
trip
there-
him on accident. They would trip over.
And they would just let him shoot. See,
Yes.
I don't think there's any chance that he would ever come close, even if he got fouled. Or let's say after like the 30th game of the year, this got out, right? That we have this massive bet with our friend, right? And the team, let's just say he plays for the Lakers, and the team let him shoot every technical foul for the rest of the season, which is normally anywhere between like 1 and 4 a game. He'd be so nervous and knock-kneed up there, he would throw up airball after airball. With all due respect, of course, I love the guy, but like,
Don't do the all.
he has no chance of ever scoring. Even if they gave him wide open shots, it takes him forever to get his shot up. It would get blocked
What about
10 times out of 10.
That's not nice to say about Parker.
I understand, but it's just fact. Like all of us, none of us would
You don't think
ever
you
score.
I think I could.
You think?
I do.
How
I
would
think
you?
I'd get fouled.
But how would you score?
A free throw.
Are they just giving you the technical fouls, or are you actually like dribbling and then you get fouled?
I'm dribbling and I get fouled.
I mean, no chance. They would
There
just.
is a zillion
Kawhi could
percent
just
chance.
do this and take the ball from you.
No, he can't. You ever tried to take something from me before? You can't get it. I don't care how.
I took your soul.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't. No.
See, this is the problem with.
I'm a prude. I don't give things up easily.
That's true. This is the problem with regular people. They think they're the same as professional athletes.
I do not think I'm
no
the same.
way are
You
you.
said a whole season.
But you
didn't
think
say
you
one
could
game.
score? You think you could score in an NBA
You said
game?
1 point
Yes.
the whole season.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if in the NFL? What if you got
How many? 800
5?
games?
What if you got 5 carries a game? Do you think you would ever get 1 yard in the NFL?
No.
What's the difference between that and scoring in an
Because
NBA game?
in the NBA, if I get a free and clear shot with a free throw, that's different than just like getting a lane in football. Like
you would
that
be
doesn't
so.
just open.
Everyone would be so nervous.
I wouldn't be that nervous.
Because you know you
I don't
have
get
this
nervous.
bet riding on it. You wouldn't even come close.
I wouldn't get nervous. I don't get nervous. And I get 2 shots. So I got
All right.
50-50 chance
Once
each time.
when we can go back outside and shoot baskets at places, we are going to record you shooting 100 free throws.
Okay.
And we're going to see how many you make when just I'm standing there with the camera.
Okay.
Okay?
And then we just say bets over under how many you think.
We'll take bets. We'll let everyone else submit their guesses on what they think, and the winner gets something. They get that fake Falcon shirt you're wearing. All right. Those are the two things that I really want to talk about. There were two big deaths, and they were obviously both. One was super tragic, and the other, obviously, Mother Teresa, who had a great life, won the Nobel Peace Prize. But I just thought it was super interesting that at age 12, she knew she wanted to commit herself to her religion. It's like, all right, some sports stuff going on then before we get to the kind of the fun stuff to close it out.
Okay. I thought you were all done. I thought you were like, those are the only two things that happened.
No. I mean, there was some. I want to get to the movie of the week and the top song, and then just a couple of sports things. Don Mattingly had his number 23 retired on August 31st this week by the New York Yankees.
1997.
1997. And then it was the week 1 of the National Football League season on August 31st that year. Neil O'Donnell threw for 5 touchdowns for the Jets.
Neil O'Donnell, one of my favorite quarterbacks.
My dad punched a hole in our ceiling one year because of Neil O'Donnell.
Because of Neil, not because of Rosie O'Donnell?
Because of Neil O'Donnell.
Years later it was Rosie.
Yes, years later it was because of Rosie. But actually, before Neil O'Donnell played for the Jets, he played for the Steelers. And he was the quarterback one year when the Steelers played the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. And Neil O'Donnell threw like 3 terrible interceptions. Like interceptions where you're thinking, okay, this guy's definitely on the take. Like someone's paying him to throw the game.
Oh, like directly to that.
It was like directly to this guy, Larry Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And after the last one, we had one of those drop ceilings with those tiles, and my dad jumped up and punched one, and it was like, it fell, we had to put it back together, we never really fixed it.
I can't even imagine your dad getting angry about anything.
Oh my goodness, my dad used to have a crazy temper back in the day.
Well, you used to have a really bad temper.
I used to have a really bad one too.
You were like
probably about the same
McEnroe
time.
Federer.
I used to, throw things and punt basketball. So it was bad. Tim Brown and Michael Irvin had huge games, 150 yards each for those guys, 3 touchdowns,
first week?
2 touchdowns. Week 1. And Eddie George had a huge day on the ground.
Oh, Eddie George.
216 yards rushing as Tennessee beat the Raiders back then.
I used to love Eddie George. I saw him on a plane. He and I were on the same plane one time, and his skin is so perfect.
Yeah.
And his bald head is so perfect. Like all I wanted to do was rub it, but I knew that wasn't allowed.
You just wanted to walk by and go, "Hi, Eddie George."
Yeah, and then just see how soft it was.
I totally buy that.
Have you ever met him?
Met Eddie George? Yeah, he's come in the studio before.
Have you ever wanted to touch his bald head?
I was a big fan of Eddie George. He won the Heisman Trophy. Back then, I liked Ohio State, not Michigan, which is kind of funny because I was wearing the shirt. But in the rivalry, you had to choose, and I liked Ohio State. I thought Eddie George was awesome, and they had just a fun team, and I had never gotten the urge to touch his head. He does theater.
That would have been the early part. I think he was the quarterback when my friend played for Tennessee in 2001. So, is he still the quarterback in 2001?
He was running back, Eddie George.
Oh, sorry, running back. Sorry.
Yeah, he would have been the running back still in 2001.
Yeah.
Because they played in the Super Bowl in 2000.
And then who would have been the quarterback? Was that
Steve
McNair?
Aaron
McNair?
Aaron McNair.
Oh, R.I.P. another.
I know, right?
R.I.P.
Yeah, so the 97 football season, your buddy Wark Dunn was Rookie of the Year that year. Actually, Barry Sanders MVP with Brett Favre, and the Broncos went on to win the Super Bowl. Okay, so...
The Broncos with Elway?
Yeah, in 1997. They would have beat the Packers that year, and then the next year they'd beat...
98, yeah.
So, the number 1 movie this week. I got some stuff on this one. Number 1 movie this week was Demi Moore in G.I. Jane.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember this movie?
Oh, do I? Because my boyfriend Doug Gassett and I got in a huge fight because he was an Army ROTC. And he was like, a woman would never be able to do that. And I was like, she literally trained with them for this movie and she's doing it all. Like she can do it. And now women can do it and are part of those programs. That was one of my favorite roast jokes. That was my intro for Demi Moore on the Bruce Willis roast. She was in G.I. Jane, and I hated it.
Yes, it's funny that you mentioned that. It is generally regarded as a terrible movie.
Yeah.
It won the Razzie for... Well, Ridley Scott was nominated for Worst Director that year for the Razzie Awards, and Demi Moore won the Razzie for Worst Actress that year.
If that movie came out today, it would win so many awards. I think that movie is
maybe. Just
20
a
years ahead of
victim
its
of
time.
when it came out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I gotta tell you, I've never really seen it. I only really remember
This is
the scene
before
where
sexual
she-
harassment, right? Like, this is before women's
Yeah.
this is like before any of that
This was
stuff.
before Clinton and Monica Lewinsky.
But you know what movie did do well? An Indecent Proposal. One where she's like hookered off by her husband.
Yeah.
That movie,
For like $1 million.
they're like, what a beautiful film.
Yeah, probably that wouldn't get made today. Probably not.
But G.I. Jane should get remade again today, and I bet it would. I think it's just ahead of its time. I thought it was a great movie.
Really? So you liked it?
I loved it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I loved
So
it.
here's the description on IMDb.
Also, I've met so many women in the military, and women in the military, by the way, and anybody that doesn't believe this is obnoxious, because they are so essential, especially in the Middle East, because most of the women in the military that are on the front lines anyway, they speak like 5 languages, and they speak like Pashto and like all these like different crazy Arabic languages, and they're able to get so much more intel because these guys all have 5 wives. And these women know everything.
Right.
But men can't talk to them. You can't even look at them. You'll see these, women with their noses cut off because they looked at another man. You know what I mean? Their husbands
Yeah.
will like cut them off and stuff. And so having women be able to go in and talk to these women in the Middle East has like completely changed the atmosphere. So yeah, I think that movie was ahead of its
Okay,
time.
great. Yeah, I'm sure you're right about that. The plot is described as when a crusading chairperson of the Military Budget Committee pressures the would-be Navy secretary to begin full gender integration of the service, he offers the chance for a test case for a female trainee in the U.S. Navy's Elite SEAL CRT selection program. Lieutenant Jordan O'Neill, that's Demi Moore, given the assignment, but no one expects her to succeed in an inhumanely punishing regime that has a standard 60% dropout rate for men. However, she is determined to prove everyone wrong. Now, before the movie, Demi Moore and the rest of the main cast endured a mini boot camp in Florida, which is where the movie was shot. Viggo Mortensen, I guess he plays kind of the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like Drolsa, is he like in charge of the group or
No.
the unit or something? In
I don't know
charge
if
of
he's
training
I
them?
thought he was just like a member of the team that was like constantly trying to get her dropped out, but maybe I'm
Oh,
wrong.
maybe. Again, you know, I've never seen
It's
that.
been a while since I've seen it.
Viggo Mortensen prepared for his role on his own for several months, which kind of pissed people
Just
off.
by yelling at his wife.
He observed actual training at the naval base in Coronado and talked to many active and retired SEALs. Some of the other cast members, with the exception of Demi Moore, were angry that he didn't go through what the others had gone through. And that's what he wanted. He wanted everyone to kind of not like him.
Oh, that's good.
Going into the movie.
Very
But I
meta.
guess, yeah, he's kind of playing the bad guy. In reality, it took 19 more years to allow women as Navy SEALs. It took till March of 2016. Women were able to start training with the Navy SEAL program. However, 99.9% of the women who enter it drop out.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's become a SEAL, but they've definitely become like Rangers and SF, and I think that time in '97, like that was like maybe around the time that that girl sued to get into what's it called?
Oh, I have a recollection of what you're talking about.
What's the main academy? The one that Belichick.
The Naval Academy?
No, what's the one that Trump just went and spoke at?
West Point?
West Point. Yeah.
That's Army.
Okay, yeah. So that was all male. So let me start that again. I think that movie came out around the time that maybe that woman was suing to get into West Point. Might not have been then. It might have been after, but I just remember that being such a big deal to my boyfriend at the time, who was in ROTC, and like me thinking like, Well, who cares? Like, if they want to try and fail just like anybody else, like, who cares?
Right.
But if they can make it, like, why would, like, there's so many more things that, like, just because you're strong doesn't mean a woman doesn't have a different like, a different thing that she can do, which, again, as we're seeing in the Middle East, is like, there's a whole other lane, you know?
Yeah. One of the rumors I thought was pretty funny, for some of the shoot, which took place in Richmond, Virginia, Demi Moore rented a mansion and had a support staff of 3 nannies, a cook, a trainer, a makeup artist, a hairdresser, even though she shaved her head, and a personal assistant. Reportedly, her entourage was so large that 2 planes were required to take her to publicity appearances. Of course, all this is just rumor. I thought that was pretty funny. She had a hairstylist with the chicken. I don't have a hairstylist, okay, just for comparison. Like,
Yeah.
I do all of this myself.
I wouldn't doubt that about Demi,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It takes a village.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, I think if you're playing that role, that would be a little obnoxious. But Bruce is very much like that. You know, Ed Norton always told that story of like when they were filming like, what was the one with Bill Murray, that Wes Anderson movie where Steve Zissou or whatever that.
Oh yeah. The submarine, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like Bruce Willis just like they all like lived in a house together, the whole cast, and they like made their own dinners just to save money, and like Bruce like rented a mansion and like a huge like with drivers, and then like came back and forth to set on his own and did
The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
you get used to a certain lifestyle and keep it going. Like I said, colossal flop. $50 million budget, only made $48 million.
it's not colossal. A
I
$2
mean,
million loss is not colossal.
I guess with a $50 million budget, though, you'd like that movie to be a $100 million movie.
Yeah.
But it did have the top spot for 2 weeks. It went back to back. I mean, 11 million opening weekend, and then 10 million after that. So it was the top spot this week in 1997. Okay, now this one is great. The number 1 song this week. Man, I wish we could really play music right now, but maybe I'll put a
Because
little.
you said that this is the greatest song of all time.
No, I think it's in the greatest one of the greatest songs of the 90s.
Okay. What's the greatest song of all time?
The greatest song of all time is Stairway to Heaven.
Okay.
What do you think the greatest song of all time is? Or Let It Be. It's like one or the other.
Oh, I don't know. Probably. I don't think I would say either because I have never thought about it.
You've never thought about what the greatest song
No.
of all time is? You haven't? Why?
No, I'd probably say like Digging Up Bones by Randy Travis. It's a great song. I'd probably say like The Dance by Garth Brooks, like something like that.
Okay.
Great song.
Great song. I wouldn't say The Dance is as good as Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay.
Mo Money, Mo Problems, number 1 this week in 1997. The second single off of the Notorious B.I.G.'s album Life After Death, which was released after he passed away in March of that year.
Oh, wow.
He was shot and killed outside the Peterson Automotive Museum
Which you used to live
here in
next
Los
to.
Angeles, which I used to live next to. The video is directed by Hype Williams. If you haven't seen this music video, it is fantastic. Features Mace and Puff Daddy in futuristic locations. Also interspliced throughout this video, Tiger Woods had just won the Masters that year. That was his welcome to the world moment in 1997.
And then he ended up having Mo Money and Mo Problems.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so Puff Daddy wins a huge golf tournament, and Mace is like the on-field reporter, and they ask him what he's gonna do, and he's so happy. And then Mace goes, "Well, I guess Mo Money, Mo Problems now." And he's like, Puff's like, "Yeah, Mo Money, Mo Problems." But this video is crazy. These guys are wearing the shiny suits, which was awesome, and like the goggles, and they're in that like tunnel with all the lights and
the
stuff.
first song off that album was Big Papa. Like that's why they call me.
That's on his first album.
So what is the first song that he released?
The first single on that is "Hypnotize."
Oh.
Biggie.
Okay, yeah.
And then the second song is Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Wow.
But this video hits more because of the shiny suits and the tunnels with the lights and.
How do you decide as a record executive which one of those songs to release first? They're so good.
I don't know. Those are two of the
I
biggest rap songs ever. Yeah, I have no idea. But it's just crazy because this was only on the number one for 2 weeks, and it actually replaced "I'll Be Missing You," which is what Puff's song that he made after Biggie died with Faith Evans, his ex-wife. And so that was, there were only 10 songs that hit number one in 1997. So 10 songs out of 52 weeks, only 10 were number one.
Wow.
And Puff Daddy had a hand in 4 of them that year. 1997 really was the year of Puff Daddy. The previous 11 weeks before Mo Money, as I mentioned, was I'll Be Missing You.
I think 1997 is also when Yo MTV Rap started.
No, Yo MTV Raps was early 90s with Ed Lover and the original Dr. Dre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But MTV was still big back then.
Oh, yeah,
you better
huge.
believe it. MTV was still huge, showing music videos.
Yeah.
And that's why the song was so huge in the video itself. And then a couple weeks later, actually, Elton John's song, Candle in the Wind, held the top spot for the rest of the year, 12 straight weeks to close out 97.
Yeah, because of Diana.
Yeah, two odes to people.
Wow, that's
Were
incredible.
massive hits, 23 of the 52 weeks. But Millennium Problems
Was Hypnotize about Mother Teresa? Maybe.
Great point. Not sure.
Okay.
Just let me get Puff on the phone. I think I have a number for him. See if it works. You're a guy like that, you change your number all the time, right?
As often as you change your name.
Ha! Well done.
Thank you.
That was pretty smooth. So this was voted by VH1 the number 63 song of the 1990s. Honestly, I can't think of 62 better songs
I was gonna say,
than
yeah,
No Money, No Problems.
that's a pretty good song. You like know all the words to like Biggie songs.
I know a lot of words to a lot of songs.
You do. Like whenever we're in the car, it's like a 30-year-old song and you just start singing along like you've been singing it all week, and I'm like, how do you remember? Like especially rap songs when you do that, because I'm like, I basically like know like the hook and that's about it.
It's also weird to me, like what part of your brain like stores that information? Because as you said, and it's a running kind of gag for us now, like 25 years, I can't believe. But there are literally country songs that'll come on in the car that there's no way I've heard them.
I think it's because
in 25 years.
You read and consumed a lot of information about sports at a young age and like cared about statistics and like numbers and stuff like that. And I think the more you read, the better your memory is. And I think that has created this like Rolodex. But I think you do have an exceptional memory. I think that.
I do believe that, but it's just crazy to me that I can remember like these random lyrics of dumb country songs.
I don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like it. Yeah, so like I said, Puff had a hand in 4 of the top songs that year. Can't Nobody Hold Me Down, Hypnotize, which was a producer, I'll Be Missing You, and No Money, No Problems. And then, like I said, Elton John closed out the year with Candle in the Wind.
Great year.
Great year. 1997 was a great year. Yeah, so this was a historic week, two very tragic deaths, but there was some good that went on in terms of the Football League and National Football League going on.
The third historic death was G.I. Jane in the box office.
Maybe I should watch G.I. Jane. I wonder how it holds up.
Let's watch it.
We're going to go watch G.I. Jane right now. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this week. This Week in the 90s podcast, episode 5. Thank you very much. I'm Chris Brockman. All right, we'll see you next week.
This Week in the 90s podcast.